Hello guys, Jules here. I'm a fixed gear cyclist here in Metro Manila and I make videos of my cycling adventures with my friends here on YouTube. I have been riding my fixed gear since 2020 and I have met a lot of people from different perspectives of life, from students to employees like me. Throughout the years, I learned that cycling is fun whether you're alone or you're cycling with a group of friends. You get to explore places you never thought you could visit. You meet new people and hear their stories and conquer challenges you set for yourself. And just like two faces coin, cycling also has a dark side in which most women suffer from. It has been an issue way before I started cycling, and it pains me to know that this is one of the main reasons why most women either stop riding or they prefer to ride alone. When I started riding fixed gear, I mostly rode alone and learned the ropes of it for a month. In those days, I met a lot of people in which I'm close friends with today, and I had the best memories of riding with them. But when I learned the stories of the female cyclists I met, it really broke my heart. So today, we're going to talk about sexual harassment of women in the cycling community. Let's start with, what is sexual harassment? It includes unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical harassment of a sexual nature in the workplace or learning environment. It can occur in a variety of circumstances, and the harasser can identify with any gender and have any relationship to the victim, including a peer, co-worker, or a teacher. So what does sexual harassment looks like? It can be staring or leering maliciously, repeatedly asking for dates despite of verbal rejections, making offensive hand or body gestures at someone, cursing, whistling, or calling a woman in public with words having dirty connotations or implications which tend to ridicule, humiliate, or embarrass the woman. Verbal harassment of a sexual nature, including jokes referring to sexual acts or sexual orientation, touching, pinching, or brushing up against someone's body unnecessarily or deliberately, unwanted sexually explicit photos, emails, or text messages. Street harassment is among the most common forms of sexual harassment. And where do cyclists ride? The streets. Riding your bike along the streets already has its share of dangers to begin with. Besides road hazards, they have to face harassment and discrimination, and these can have negative impacts on their well-being and participation of women in cycling. To understand this, let's put ourselves into their shoe and imagine their everyday life. Imagine you're in a bad mood and you just want to ride your bike. So you wear your favorite socks, fill up your bottle, double-check everything in your bag, and head out. You're riding your bike, and as you approach a red light stoplight, the people around you started looking at you. How would you feel about it? I'll give you a second to imagine that. Now let's take a look at another example. Imagine you're riding your bike on your way home, and then a guy behind you appears and just won't stop following you. So you took a detour to a local shop where you usually buy your food, but upon arriving, it's closed. Then the guy approached you and asked where you live and if he can accompany you. You said you just live nearby and you left. A few blocks later, the guy is gone. How would you feel about it? I'll give you another second to let that sink in. These are just the few stories I heard from the female cyclists I met in the cycling community. These are also the kind of stories I'm hoping to be told less over time as we raise awareness to sexual harassment. Now let's take a look at why people sexually harass other people, mainly in the cycling community. If we take a look at the cycling gender gap data that are collected throughout the location sites in Luzon provided by Strava, men are 6.7% more likely than women to use their bicycles on their way to work. This is because safety has been a concern for women in cycling, mostly because of lack of bike infrastructure. Additionally, women have more fear of drivers or motorists because they are most likely to invade a female cyclist's space due to patriarchal standards and male-dominated culture. This culture greatly contributes to sexual harassment in cycling because they see themselves higher than women. They feel like they can do anything and get away with it without even realizing the negative impact it has to our female cyclists. The gender gap also contributes to sexual harassment because most men assumes that the population of cyclists are mostly men. And when they see a female cyclist, suddenly it catches their attention as if it's not normal. Now let's imagine, what if the gender gap is in favor to women? What do you think the sexual harassment situation will be in cycling? Do you think the number of cases will decrease? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Out of these contributing factors, I think the factor that has the most influence is the lack of awareness and education. It all starts from a kid who is raised by parents who didn't teach them the word consent. You see, most of us grew up where our elders didn't ask us if they can kiss us on our cheeks, or if one of our titos could check the size of our pee-pee because we are growing up. This kind of behavior can be translated to where most men are today simply because they thought that doing so without consent is okay because their parents raised them that way. So, what can we do about it? My personal take is that let's start them young, teach them what consent is and how to be respectful to others. We can also add this to the education curriculum as most schools do not teach this topic to their students. How about you guys? What do you think we can do to educate the people about sexual harassment and lessen the factors contributing to it? Let me know in the comment section down below. Now here are some of the real-life stories of the female cyclists who experienced sexual harassment. I won't reveal who they are, and I will be the one to tell their stories to protect their privacy. Remember the stories I told you a while ago where a guy followed her and asked if we can accompany her on her way home? That's one of the stories I will tell you today. She told me that it was her first time riding alone around Metro Manila when this happened. It was an experience that scared her a lot and caused a lot of anxieties along the way. Since then, she never rode that street alone and preferred to ride with her close friends. She also never rode to her home at night, and instead she books a Grab along with her bike. At first, she wasn't able to tell her story to anyone else. And after some time, she was able to tell me her story, and as she did, she remembered how it felt, and you can really see how bad the experience were to her. She may have moved on from this experience, but she'll never forget how it felt. The next story we have is from someone who has tried BMX, skateboard, fixed gear, and road bike. She has been in the scene for a long time, and lately she has been commuting by bus with her bike so she can ride on her way home. In one of her commutes, a guy from a random jeep nearby the bus took a video of her while she was getting her bike. It made her feel so uncomfortable. It made her think of scenarios of what the guy would do with the video, and it built a lot of anxiety and fear to her. Like our first female cyclist, she may have moved on from this experience, but she'll never ever forget how it felt like. Our final story is from someone I just met recently. She has been riding her trackless cross since 2020, and she has been through a lot. Her story starts with meeting new people as she learns the ropes of fixed gear riding. Over time, she became close friends with those people until one day they changed into someone creepy and asked inappropriate questions like, "Kumain ka na ba?" or "Gusto mo ba maging ina ng mga anak ko?" There was a time where she became friends with a local bike mechanic that helped her with her bike stuff and became close friends with. But after some time, he changed and it led to a huge disappointment. There was even a time where he followed her in one of her bike rides and it really scared her a lot. Since then, she never rode on the street where the bike shop is located and rode somewhere else. This always happens to her when she meets someone. She became close with them and they will turn into a creep who turns out just wants a part of her. This is why she never does meetups and prefers to ride alone all the time. This is the story that broke my heart. When I first started fixed gear, I met a lot of nice people. We all made great memories and they helped me a lot, especially when my bike got stolen and retrieved. Our memories are something to be told to the younger generations to show them how fun it is to ride bikes with friends. But after I heard our female cyclist story, it was the other way around. And I hope this will never happen to other female cyclists. I know it's unfair for me to compare myself to her since I'm a guy, but imagine I'm a female cyclist and my story is the same. Now at this point, it all sounds sad, but don't worry because we have safe spaces for you. This is an all-female cyclists private group in Facebook that lets victims of sexual harassment open their experiences and help each other out. They call it the Pinay Bike Commuter Community. This is very helpful for those who want to ride in a group and feel safe, especially for those who can find a group nearby their area. I honestly don't know much about the group because I'm not allowed to be a member because I am a guy, but I'm sure that once you join them, they'll be glad to help you out. We also have a law against sexual harassment, and it's called Republic Act of 7877, the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act of 1995. According to this, sexual harassment is committed by an employer, employee, manager, supervisor, agent of the employer, teacher, instructor, professor, coach, trainer, or any person who having authority, influence, or moral ascendancy over another in a work or training or education environment, demands, requests, or otherwise requires any sexual favor, from the other, regardless of whether the demand, request, or requirement for submission is accepted or not by the object of said act. If you notice, this act was enacted in 1995 and hasn't been updated since then. I'm no expert in law, but I think this can be updated since most of the cases we hear do not happen in work and education areas, but mostly on the streets. And since we have a law for this, you can also visit the following offices for you to report your case. You may pause this part of the video if you want to take note of the information we have on the screen. I'll also make sure to add this information in the comment section down below. We may have offices for you to report your cases, but I'm sorry to disappoint you that not all of these are reliable. I have a friend who had a case, reported it, and provided evidence, but nothing happened. She even went back a couple of times to follow up until she got tired and gave up. So let this be a reminder to you all that not all of the offices are reliable. I haven't been much into group cycling, so I'm not sure if there are group rides promoting the awareness of sexual harassment. If there aren't, I think this is a great opportunity to invite all cyclists, men and women alike, to join this kind of ride where the female cyclists will open their experiences to the group so that the male cyclists will know how they feel and understand the negative impact it has. It's like what they did with the mental health awareness group ride that I participated in a few months ago. We did a group ride first, went to a place and huddled, and then people started sharing their experiences. In the end, the group provided a safe space for people to open up and go to if they needed some help. We can also organize more events with women's category in it so that our female cyclists will be enticed to join. This is also an opportunity to empower female cyclists because they will see their fellow female cyclists participate. It can be anything from small games we have in our fixed gear scene like slowest race, track stand, or pop the balloon, to big races like criterium, drag sprint, or alley cats. I have a friend who organized an all-female event for skateboard, scooters, and BMX at Manila Skate Park way back in 2018, and she was surprised at how many people came. There were even cyclists that came from far places who attended. They had a lot of sponsors too, and the event was very successful. In the end, a lot of the female cyclists who attended felt safe, empowered, and represented because it's rare for them to have an event like this. Technically, it's not an all-women's event because a few guys still came in, but the female cyclists who attended there still felt safe. It can be any event that caters any bike and any level of difficulty so that anyone can join. These are just the few steps I think we can take towards change. If you have a suggestion or an idea, share it in the comment section down below and let's discuss. Like I said earlier, the gender gap we have in our cycling community is in favor of men. And I think this is a great opportunity to show you what empowerment is like. Just imagine, you're a female cyclist. Well, you don't have to imagine if you are one, but then you saw this female cyclist participate in a gravel race where it took days to finish. You saw how much she struggled, her adventure was like, and how great the community is. She shared her goals for the race and the challenges she faced. In the end, she conquered it all and won. As a female cyclist, this has a huge impact on you as it empowers you and feels represented. Because most of the time, men wins. But this time, a woman won. This feeling of empowerment and representation can be shared to other cyclists as well. And in my 2 years of cycling, I have met and learned some of the best female cyclists in the community. First, we have Ate Anika, also known as the Solar Commuter. She mostly rides in the city using her Shirley's steamroller and was featured in the Shirley's Humanoids of Shirley vlogs. She has this cool vibe where she rides and wears anything she wants and makes it look easy. Like you, she has experienced sexual harassment too, but despite that, she continues to ride her bike and empowers her fellow female cyclists through her stories and posts on Instagram. Our next cyclists are a duo. They are called Levi and Sarah. I first saw them on YouTube when I was searching for gravel rides. They are a couple that shares their bike adventures, and they also teach their fellow female cyclists about women's stuff that are related to cycling. I met them once before in a food park and got the chance to speak with them for a while. They are very friendly and we even took a photo of that moment. And yes, I was with WebGeek, who was at the time was very thirsty. He bought 2 beverages. Our next one is the epitome of an adventurer. Her name is Cesar Lim. She started cycling in the pandemic and has traveled the Philippines using her touring bike. She mostly travels solo and she meets new people along the way. She also likes trying the unknowns and trying out different sports like free diving. These are some of the few cyclists I recommend you to follow and share with your friends. And I'm sure that there are more female cyclists out there that I haven't mentioned. Now I have a message for those creeps who are watching this video. Don't you ever follow this cyclist if you're just gonna do your usual creeps. Please, just don't. Or else. Now that you are aware what sexual harassment is, what it looks like, the negative impacts it have, and what the situation is in our cycling community, I hope this pushes you to change and help empower our female cyclists to continue riding their bikes. To the people who have committed any form of sexual harassment, I have a message for you. I believe in second chances. Everyone deserves it. And if this is your second chance, I hope you take this one very seriously. You can always start with yourself. Practice discipline, and over time, you'll be able to overcome it. One day, you'll look back to your old self and you'll feel proud of how far you've come. To my fellow men out there, I hope this inspires you to provide a safe environment for our female cyclists. At the end of the day, we all want the same thing, and that is to ride our bikes. So why not make it a peaceful, safe, and fun ride for everyone? If you have reached this part of the video, I want to say thank you so much. This has been something that I've been working on for quite some time now, and this will not be possible without the help of my friends who shared their story, especially G. Her story moved me and inspired me to make this video. She also wrote the outline of the script, and without her, this video will not exist. G, you know who you are, and from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for everything you've done for me.